Hello there, and welcome once again to the Set of the Verdict. We're glad you're with us. Mick Cornett and Kent Myers here every week, meeting interesting people and dealing with topical issues. And today we're going to learn about the Farm Bureau organization.
Yes, Monica Wilke is going to join us. She is the executive director of Oklahoma Farm Bureau and its related companies. And she's got an interesting life story to tell and an interesting story that relates to the Farm Bureau. We thought you'd like to hear about it.
It's a very big organization. We will learn more and listen to Monica when we return on The Verdict.
America has been here before, faced with daunting challenges, and we've always found the courage to lead. Foreign oil, greenhouse gases, we have the power to do something about them with American natural gas. Chesapeake is forging ahead, converting our fleets to clean-burning natural gas vehicles, encouraging others to do the same. Welcome to America. Chesapeake, America's champion of natural gas.
Wilke, Meyer, Eatman, Tate. We're accountants. We do taxes, business valuations, estate planning, and consulting. And we're right here in Oklahoma, working with the owners of small and medium-sized businesses. Steve Wilke and Stuart Meyer have the resources and the experience. Wilke, Meyer, Eatman, Tate in Oklahoma City and Tulsa.
Welcome back to the Set of the Verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Myers. Kent's going to introduce today's guest.
Very pleased to welcome to the Set of the Verdict a former student, Monica Wilke. Monica is the executive director of the Oklahoma Farm Bureau and the related companies. She did her undergraduate work at Oklahoma State University, did her law work at the University of Oklahoma. She joined the Farm Bureau in 1999 and became general counsel in 2001. She's the former president of the Oklahoma Diamond Hats, which is a women's leadership group. She's a member of the Oklahoma City Junior League, the Oklahoma FFA Foundation Board, and the Women's Leadership Exchange, all very well-known organizations. When I knew her as a student, she wasn't Monica Wilke, she was Monica
Miller.
On the tip of my tongue.
Yes.
Well, Monica, glad to have you.
Thank
we
you.
sure appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
Introduce our audience who don't already know about the Farm Bureau organization, what it is and what its purpose is.
Okay. Well, the Oklahoma Farm Bureau is an organization that was founded in 1942 by some visionary, tenacious farmers. And they had a vision that they wanted the farm ag story to be told not only at the local level, but at the state level, on the steps and in the halls of the Capitol
Sounds
in
like a
Oklahoma
lobbying
City.
organization.
It largely is based on lobbying originally. And then a few years after that, in 1942, they thought that rural Oklahomans needed affordable insurance. And so the Oklahoma Mutual Insurance Company was born. So we have the nonprofit arm, that's the agriculture organization, and then the for-profit insurance company.
And talk about the future of this organization.
Well,
You growing?
yes, the future is bright. You know, the tenacious farmers in 1942 had a vision, and that small group, you know, fast forward to present day,
Right.
we have over 140,000 member families in our organization.
Just in Oklahoma?
In Oklahoma.
And I assume
Yes.
they're not all farmers at this point.
They're not all farmers. We have a diversified group, but the large majority who sets our policy of our organization are what we call voting members, and their livelihood has to be in production agriculture.
Right.
And so that's the voice who sets our policy that our lobbying team then goes over to the state capitol.
Well, excuse my ignorance on the type of insurance you might offer, but are you offering crop insurance or is this home insurance? What type of insurance is available?
We're a property and casualty company, and we do offer crop insurance, but we offer that as a member benefit as a service to our members. So yeah, we're largely property and casualty.
And how does the crop insurance business work?
Well, it's quite a vehicle, and for those who aren't actually affiliated with farming and understand it can be quite complex. But it actually is a federally subsidized program, so largely governmental, and we service the business for our membership. But it's on federal paper, if you will.
Sure.
Yes.
Well, your office is in Oklahoma City. Do you have any offices around the state?
We do.
Where are they located?
We have offices in all 77 counties across
Wow.
our state. And that's something that, I'm very passionate about and very proud of as an organization. I think that sets us apart as an ag organization. I think it also sets us apart as an insurance company because we're actually entrenched in every community, in every county in the state of Oklahoma.
Your enthusiasm for your role shows, but at what point did you get involved in this kind of job direction? I mean, is this something you grew up wanting to do, I assume? What life experiences led you to this point?
Well, I grew up on a farm and a ranch in southwest Oklahoma, Bearcat country, Granfield, and my dad is a third-generation farmer and rancher. And so, actually, my passion for agriculture and telling the ag story is something that's been part of my life since I could walk and talk. And when the board of directors offered me the position as executive director of Farm Bureau, that was one of the things that I had said is, I didn't come to the Farm Bureau and try to feign interest in agriculture. The reason that I wanted to come to work for the largest ag organization in the state was because of that passion. So, did I think when I was 9 years old in the halls at Granfield Elementary that I wanted to be the executive director of the Farm Bureau? No.
Right.
But all along my path, I've had ag as part of my life, whether that be through 4-H and FFA, and then in college, representing the FFA. So it's just something that I'm personally passionate about as well as professionally.
Well, a lot of things in farming and the business side have changed since you were growing up in Granfield. How has it changed the most? Illustrate some of the changes that you've seen in your lifetime.
Yeah, well, I think number one is just technology, and we see that in every aspect of our life. But the things that farmers can now do with tractors and combines and implement equipment has changed dramatically since I was a child.
How so? What technology has helped?
Well, I would say more of the kind of the GPS type technology, the system in that, allows you where you used to have to go out and actually physically make sure you're driving the tractor in a straight row and planting the exact
They don't
amount.
have to do that anymore?
Well, they do have to get in the tractor.
No, I know that.
Believe it or not. But yeah, they can actually input what they want to do into a computer, into the...
You're kidding me.
I am not.
So they mow straight rows now using GPS technology.
Well, I don't know if they're going to be all straight.
But they know where they've been and where they haven't.
That's right.
I had no idea that
That's
existed.
Well, I didn't either. I thought the biggest advance had been air conditioning in a
Inside
tractor.
the tractor.
Now they've got computers inside
Yeah,
the tractor.
that's right. Yeah, if you talk to my father, he would have been very proud of just the air conditioning. So yes, that's true.
What other technologies have helped?
Yeah, I just think the advance really of kind of the social media age is one thing in that because farming largely is rural based across the state, that the ability to plug in wasn't there when I was a child, and to hear what others are doing, and not just Oklahoma but across the nation, whether it be with cotton or wheat or cattle, the ability to gain that information quickly and it be easily accessible is something that's changed.
Do you become a spokesperson for the farming industry in this role?
My role really, we have a president of our organization, and we are conducted by a board of directors. And so the president of our organization really is the spokesperson for agriculture because he still is the person who's on the farm today, farming, ranching, doing the things we're talking about. As the executive director of the organization, I'm really responsible for the day-to-day activities of the corporation and the organization. So more personnel-based, employee-based, but still always have the focus of the Farm Bureau being an agricultural-driven entity at heart when making those decisions.
How many employees do you have?
We have over 500 employees.
All over the state?
All over the state. In our home office, there's a little over 300 in our actual Oklahoma City-based corporate office, but the remainder of our employees are statewide. And then we have, not included in that number, are our insurance agents, and we have approximately 200 insurance agents across the state.
Yeah. Does the farm story, as you've talked about it, does it have a happy ending?
I think it does. When I think about just the organization, the Farm Bureau itself. To me, from when I started in '99 until today, the things that just the Farm Bureau has been able to do legislatively, in the courtroom, and now we have a new Farm Foundation, which is an educational arm of our organization, and being able to kind of engage in the media and that PR battle. Those things are tools that we didn't have in the toolbox when I started, that farmers and ranchers have had the vision to step up and say we need these things, and have proven effective along the way. One example I like to use, probably because of my legal background, is the Legal Foundation. And we had a situation a few years ago on an annexation case, and there was a city that was wanting to annex outside of its borders, and the landowners were going to be detrimentally affected by that. They came to the Farm Bureau and said, can you help us? Because as individuals, they really couldn't have fought the city, didn't have the means to do so. And our board said yes. And we asked the court, will you please grant the landowners or stay the annexation because of the impact it could have on them? And the court granted our request, and actually didn't allow the annexation to occur. And so that's just one small victory that we as an organization, as farmers and ranchers, have had in the last decade within the halls of the Farm Bureau.
Monica Wilke is our guest. We're talking about the Farm Bureau organization. We'll be right back.
The thing that has made the most sense for me is realizing that I am still an educator, and that is what I do at the Chickasaw Nation. I'm Dr. Amanda Cobb-Greetham. I'm a historian, and I'm Chickasaw. The Chickasaw Cultural Center is amazing. It is a very, very special place devoted to the sharing and to the celebration of Chickasaw history and culture. State-of-the-art technology, exhibits that are not like anything I've ever seen. The Spirit Forest is incredible, and you feel as if you have actually just walked into a forest with huge trees all around you. It's timeless, and yet it's sort of also representative of our time depth, to really just sort of reach through time and touch the past. By the end of the exhibits, you really have a sense of Chickasaw cultural and political resurgence, and the extent to which we are a healthy, dynamic, and vital tribe today. Chickasaws have always been an inclusive people. This is something for the whole community and for the state of Oklahoma.
Every time our country imports energy, we're saying we've lost confidence in our own.
But Oklahomans know, under the land of the free lies the energy to be brave.
Advanced technology has led to vast discoveries of oil and natural gas that have doubled America's supply estimates.
Using one well to do the work of 10 in half the time, we're proving that America's best answers will always come from inside our borders.
Oklahoma's oil and natural gas industry, advancing our state, empowering our nation.
When you have something important to communicate, it becomes clear that there's a lot of competition for your audience's attention. So how can your message stand out and actually resonate with your audience? Legal Graphics has the answers. The team at Legal Graphics will work with you to plan, design, and even test your presentation to ensure your message will be heard and remembered. Call Legal Graphics today to schedule an appointment. The readiness is all.
Welcome back to The Verdict. Monica Wilke is our guest. We're talking about the Farm Bureau organization. Now, as far as Oklahoma-based insurance companies go, how large is your company? Where do you rank?
Oklahoma Farm Bureau is the largest Oklahoma-based insurance company in the state. And earlier when I talked about that vision of that coming into being in 1946, you know, at that time it was largely providing insurance for rural customers, and we've broadened that footprint a great deal in obviously the last several years. So we're the largest Oklahoma-based insurance company.
Can you break down, you're on the revenue side, how much of the organization is part of the insurance business, and how much of it is that traditional ag lobbying type organization?
I need my numbers person here to help me do that. But yeah, the largest part, obviously, of our corporation, the largest revenue stream for our organization is the insurance company. and the farm-based is much smaller
Well,
than that.
we've had extreme weather conditions over the
Right.
last couple of years, and,
Yes.
I know that plays havoc to a homeowner who lives in an urban area. I can imagine it's only accentuated when you live in a rural area.
Mm-hmm.
How have these weather extremes affected the insurance business?
Great question. I would say that insurance industry, broad-based insurance industry, the last 5 years have been just what I say plummeted in terms of the weather, or pummeled in terms of the weather conditions in Oklahoma and even regionally. And for us at the Farm Bureau, because we are Oklahoma-based only and don't diversify across the state lines, that's been a special challenge for us. And you know, at the end of the day, our goal, like all those in the insurance industries, is to protect the consumer, the policyholder. And we've had to step up and do a risk analysis, assess our pricing and our policies to make sure that we are doing what we need to meet those demands in the event of another catastrophic weather event.
What do you mean by the importance of your grassroots policy process? What does that mean, and how does that come into play?
Well, a lot of people, I hesitate to use the words grassroots in this day and age because people use it so often, it almost has become a little cliche. But why I want to use it with the Farm Bureau is I think we really do grassroots. And what I mean by that is a local farmer, producer in Granfield or Bikoshi or Guymon, Oklahoma, can have an idea. They can bring that to their local meeting, advances to their district meeting, and then to our annual delegate body state meeting in Oklahoma City, and see that idea become policy and then lobbied for by our lobbying team. And I love that about our organization, and it's probably one of the things, the hallmarks, I think, of the Oklahoma Farm Bureau that makes me the most proud when I think about how our organization works.
Let's talk about the way that your company interacts with government, because the insurance company is obviously regulated, some would say highly regulated, and the ag business is obviously regulated to some extent. Talk about the relationship you have with government and your belief. Are you overregulated? Are you underregulated? How would you weigh that?
You're asking in terms of the agricultural
Both
community?
sides, really.
Okay. I'll try to break it down several ways. In terms of how we interact with government from an organizational perspective, the Oklahoma Farm Bureau, I think that that's something that's always been, you know, the largest part of what we do. And we have been able to be very effective through that with our PAC.
Is it generally state level?
It's state and federal.
Okay.
Yes. In terms of, you know, agriculture as a whole and the industry, I think we have people in Oklahoma who truly understand agriculture as they should. So goes agriculture, so goes Oklahoma. I don't know that that's always the case federally. I'm getting ready to get engaged in a farm bill discussion, and so Oklahoma definitely is at the table, but I think that it's important that we educate the nation about what it is we do here in the state of Oklahoma, because we are such a large agriculture commodity-driven state. And then in the insurance business, what I appreciate very much is that we're state regulated, and those relationships stay within the state. I think that's important, again, because when you talk about geography, and does California or New York know really what's going on in Oklahoma, weather and environment? Not so much. And so we face sometimes that question of federal regulation in the insurance industry, should that happen. And the Oklahoma Farm Bureau stance has always been, let's keep that at the state level.
Are there other farm bureaus like Arkansas Farm Bureau, Texas Farm Bureau, or is Oklahoma unique?
Yes, there are farm bureaus in every state.
Every state.
And then we have a national organization, which is the American Farm Bureau organization.
And do they operate pretty much the same way? Do they also have an insurance arm?
Many of them do. Some of them have banded together and maybe become more of a regional type insurance company, but some of them still operate just as a single state provider.
Have your company been involved in mergers or acquisitions? Have you grown from those small roots to where you are now, or have you consumed or been consumed by other organizations along the way?
No, we have not, and we've stayed true to that vision that began in 1942.
And staying with that kind of consolidation theory, there's been this trend for decades now of consolidation of farms. What used to be the family farm gets larger and larger, now there's corporate farming. Right. Is that a trend that you think has reached its peak, or do you continue to see more of the corporate farming having a larger and larger piece of the farming industry?
You know, I think that what we are seeing more is that the farming population, those who are actually in production agriculture, the family farm, does continue to decrease. And those farmers now there's less of them, and they're farming larger acreages. And that's a
technology
trend.
allows them to do
It
that, I
does,
assume.
like
yeah.
we talked about earlier. And so that's a trend that I do think that we will see continue.
The tenacious nature, used tenacious in the first segment, of the farmer, or at least what a lot of people assume is tenacious.
Yes.
Have you observed that, and has that been in part responsible for the success of Oklahoma Farm Bureau?
Sure. I talk about this a lot whenever I'm asked about the organization. You know, growing up on a farm and watching my father get up before everybody else and come in later than everyone else, I think that, you know, very, very early on, I had this just passion for what farmers do. And that tenacity, what I have seen, has exhibited itself over the years in terms of the Farm Bureau through the legislative process, and now some of the other components that we've been able to add within our organization to tell the farm story. Yeah, we're not going to give up on a fight, and it's a good thing, because every day is a struggle, day to day, you know, largely dependent upon the weather and environmental factors and things really beyond individual control.
Talk about the drought that's taken place, not only in Oklahoma, but really in West Texas. And how severe is this?
Well, we had a lot of coverage on this topic last summer. Actually, at the Farm Bureau, we hosted a conference, a drought conference for our farmers and ranchers, and really anybody who wanted to attend. You know, historic. I mean, you think back, some would say it was worse than the Dust Bowl era. And it's had a large impact really on the cattle industry, and also on the grass. When people think about, you know, that grass that people have been building and developing and for years, is all of a sudden, you know, we went with so many months without rain, and that's something that just doesn't pop back overnight.
Really?
It will have impacts far-reaching.
So growing
into the
seasons
future.
into the future are affected by a drought as severe as this one.
That's
Is
correct.
it over?
Well, I don't
or does
know.
that depend where you are?
You know, it does depend where you are. We got a little rain last week, and so people were very happy about that. But, you know, we had Gary England actually at our annual meeting this year, and what he told us was that everything's cyclical. So we're hoping that it's over, but we don't know.
Tell me about the Oklahoma Ag Fund.
The Oklahoma Ag Fund is essentially a PAC, and we developed that sometime around the year 2003. And what that fund does, or what we do, is we have our own board, and that board is elected by our members across the state. And our members get together and they decide who they believe has represented the rural interests, the ag voice, the Farm Bureau voice, and then obviously contribute to that campaign. The thing that's exciting about that is we have picked the right candidate 92% of the time. So
way to go.
Yeah, so we're happy with that. But again, it's really a grassroots driven process.
About 30 seconds to go. The Farm
Sure.
Foundation.
Absolutely.
What is that?
Farm Foundation, it's our newest entity, formed in 2011. It is a 501c3 company developed for the purpose of educating the public, the non-farm public, about agriculture.
Tell the farm story.
Tell the farm story.
That's what you've done today, I might add.
Thank you. I hope so.
Yeah, you've done it very, very well. I
Thank
too.
you.
What audience needs to learn more about the farm story?
You know, I think all audiences need to, but for me, having grown up on a farm in a rural community and now living in the urban center, I really feel like that I would like for a lot of the friends that I find myself, you know, maybe having dinner with, know more about what it is the farmers
Right.
and
Well, there's
ranchers
no question
do.
there's an urbanization taking place
That's right.
all over, and that story is going to be more and more important to tell.
That's right.
You're doing a great job of telling it. Thank you for
Thank
coming on the
you.
verdict, and we've been able to explore a couple of subjects that we don't get to very often.
Very good. Thanks for having
Thank
me.
you.
I enjoyed it.
Kent and I'll have a final word when we get back.
The good life comes naturally to Tulsa, where nature's beauty is matched with an eye for aesthetics. A legacy of neighborhoods graced with lawns and landscaping and handsome homes. a place that seems to have patented an ideal lifestyle. Bank First is loyal to the quality of life Tulsa assures its citizens, to the priority placed on education, culture, and growth. Loyal to builders who transform raw land into residential charm. Developers who see opportunity and add vitality to Tulsa's economy. Bank First serves both enterprise and private lives that need a loyal partner. It's how we help nurture this city's very good life. Bank First. Loyal to Oklahoma. Loyal to you.
All children deserve a life of hope and love, but sometimes they experience a life of pain, neglect, and abuse.
When that happens, each child deserves all the quality assistance and representation that can be offered in our legal system. For more information, call 23-CHILD.
Oklahoma Lawyers for Children, helping to bring hope and love back to the lives of abused children.
The Journal-Record is pleased to be a sponsor of The Verdict. The Journal-Record, since 1903, the best source of Oklahoma business news and legal information. And for almost 30 years, Oklahoma political, government, and business leaders have turned to the McCarville Report for accurate, reliable, inside information. Visit the McCarville Report online.
Welcome back to the set of The Verdict. We are wrapping up a show. We learn more about the Farm Bureau organization.
Yes, Monica Wilke is doing a great job there. Not surprisingly, she was selected to run the organization, and as I am told, is the first woman to hold that position.
A wonderful spokesperson for it. I know I learned a lot in this show, about
Yes.
the way that the insurance business interacts with the agricultural community, and she's a wonderful spokesperson, and that's so important in Oklahoma because that story needs to be told. We're helped by it.
Well, the farm story is an uplifting one and one of indeed tenacity.
And one we're very proud of.
Indeed.
Let's go to the website that you can get more information about them, okfarmbureau.org. Our website, theverdict.tv. That's going to do it for this week's show. We'll see you next week.
The preceding program was produced exclusively for the Cox Channel.